Most people know the Honda Civic as a compact car. Well, this is the 2016 long-awaited Honda Civic, and it's bigger in all dimensions. But it's not just big in size, this is a big, huge vehicle for Honda, especially in Canada. Why? Well, the Honda Civic has been the top-selling passenger vehicle in Canada for 17 years. And Honda's hoping that this new 10th generation Civic will continue the trend. Just recently, Honda rolled out the very first 2016 Honda Civic sedan off the line in their plant in Alliston, Ontario. This new Civic is all new. From the looks, from the size, to the interior, everything is new, including new engines. Honda's goal was to bring back the sporty and dynamic DNA of the past Civics into this new one. First of all, it's much bigger. It's longer, it's wider, and it's lower, and really has a commanding stance when you look at it just sitting there. The styling is definitely more dynamic and aggressive. I kind of see a little bit of Acura NSX of the new one in the front end here. Also available now are full LED headlights and daytime running lights. Down the side, you see a lot of edginess to it. Civic comes standard with 16-inch wheels. This is the touring model, and it sports 17-inch rims. The rear gets an equally dynamic styling treatment as the front. You have these two-piece LED taillights, a slope-back type of look, and it just looks pretty hot. Once again, because of the larger dimensions of the wheelbase and being wider, you also get a wider cargo compartment. The trunk now has 75 liters more cargo space than the outgoing model. When you get inside the Civic, you're greeted with a lot of soft touch materials, a very high-tech looking cabin here. The interior really looks a lot more upscale than you would find and you would expect in a Honda Civic, or especially the previous generations. This is a top-of-the-line touring model, so you do get the top-of-the-line touchscreen infotainment center here. It's a 7-inch system. One thing that I really wish that it had, though, I really wish, even though everything's touchscreen, give me a volume knob. Just one volume knob, I'd be really happy with that. Now in the center and behind the steering wheel, you have a new 7-inch TFT display. That's where your speedometer is there. Now this vehicle is loaded with technology, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now Android fans will be very happy because in the center screen, it will display turn-by-turn navigation. Now that is not available if you have the Apple CarPlay, not because of the limitations of this system, but the limitation of the iPhone. Here's another great feature, if your phone supports it, is the new Civic comes with wireless charging. Other features that this compact car has is things like lane watch, which actually has a camera on the passenger side mirror, so when you're changing lanes, and even lane keeping assist, which will actually keep you in the lane and steer the vehicle in for you. In the center console here, gone is a manual parking brake. They went to electric parking brake with brake hold. Big fan of that. You just stop, you take your foot off the brake, and then you just hit the gas when you want to go again. Great feature. All in all, very nice interior. Let's go to the back. So since the wheelbase is longer by 30 millimeters, it gives you a larger cabin, especially in the back seat here. The front seat is set for about almost a 6-foot person. I have tons of room back here. I have at least 2.5 inches above my head and tons of legroom here. And I did mention that this is the top touring model, which comes with heated and powered seats in the front, and even in the rear has heated seats as well. Like I said, everything is new on this new Civic, including the engines. 2 new engine options. First of all, a 2-liter 4-cylinder that puts out 158 horsepower and 138 foot-pounds of torque. And that comes as more of a base engine, and for the first time in North America, a turbo engine in a Honda Civic. And that's a 1.5-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, putting out 174 horsepower and 162 foot-pounds of torque. Now there are 2 transmissions available on the new Civic. There's a manual transmission that comes with, it's a 6-speed by the way, and it comes on the base model on the 2-liter engines. Now if you go to the turbo, the 1.5-liter turbo that we have here, that comes with a CVT transmission only. CVT transmissions aren't usually the most exciting to drive, but for this turbo engine, it really keeps the revs up and maintains that power in that turbo. Now in the past, I've owned some Honda Civics and this drives like none of them. Mind you, the ones that I owned were in the 70s and they're a great car to drive. This one really feels a lot more refined, especially with the longer wheelbase. It's a lot more stable, but also they've stiffened the chassis. The whole frame is stiffer. It's safer with different crumple zones, but also they've used hydraulic dampeners in the front and the rear, which gives you better stability and performance when driving. We've actually driven this even on some gravel roads, and it actually sucks up the bumps really well. Now, one thing I really noticed on this Civic is the steering. It is very, very solid, meaning, you know, if you just kind of like feel it on center, it's very solid. It's not easy, which I really like, but it's very accurate. And for the new Civic, it actually has a variable steering, like a variable ratio steering, which normally you would actually find in a lot higher end vehicles. So when you're going slower, you don't have to turn it as much, and it's more stable at high speeds as well. Now this car is really exciting, but this is only one of a bunch that are coming. This is the 4-door sedan. Later on, you're gonna get a 2-door coupe, an SI version, a 5-door hatchback, and the best of all, a Type R Civic. So wait for those, because it's been promised that those will all be out within the next 18 months. So the question is, does the new Honda Civic have what it takes to extend the record to 18 consecutive years of the best-selling passenger car in Canada? Well, if you consider great new styling, a bigger car, new technology, dynamic to drive, everything about this is better, including 4 new other models, I think it's going to be a sure thing.